Hey everyone. I promised myself after the Digitone drone video I would never ever record my voice again. But apparently never say never. So I'm doing this video. The reason why I'm doing this is because I received many requests from my last video on how I did the granular effect on my last piece. So I have a sample that I recorded with my piano that plays aside the retrigger here. What's going on? Why it doesn't play? Yeah, it doesn't play because it's still set. Still set as 51%, right? So there's a trigger that plays my sample. So how people is used to do that? Actually, I've seen several videos of doing it. It's basically they put tons of triggers. The length is set to something, so when you play it just plays indefinitely, right? So you can move and you can surf between the start point of the sample and it's like constantly chopping it. So what they do is that they take an LFO, they put it on sample start I said, yeah, sample start I said, yes. They do a whatever sine or triangle waveform, and they put it just a tiny bit, right? So when this one plays and you move it, it basically, for every trigger, there's always a different starting point. You see? Just a tiny bit. It's a very cool effect, right? But the problem here, or the limitation here, is that you need to move it manually. So the manual movement is required to achieve this effect. And I really wanted to have this automatic. So what I thought is, okay, let's add a second LFO here with a more wider depth that just does the swipe. But that doesn't work because the LFO changes or is applied from the base value of the parameter you're changing. So the LFO is not changing actually the parameter. It's just creating a delta on the base parameter that is set here. So I thought a bit about it, and what I came out is to use the MIDI, a MIDI track. Because what MIDI does, you can control other tracks' parameter by using the MIDI track. So my track number 2 is set on MIDI channel 2. I created a MIDI loop. So this is the same cable. In goes to the out. So it's set as a loop. Sync is everything is disabled. So you don't need to bother with clock and with anything. Port config, it's standard. The channel, obviously, the only thing that it matters is that track 2 is channel number 2. So my track number 9 of the Digitakt is set on channel 2. So what I did in the amp section, which is the CC section, I set the first value to 20. and 20 is the value that corresponds to the start point. And then on the filter, there's the CC value that is pushed. You see now it's set on 0. If I move this, say up to half, if you go to the track number 2, you will see that now it's set to half, or whatever value it is. If I keep going on moving this, you see? So it sets the base value of it. And then the trick becomes really easy. So you just put an LFO on the track number 9, on the CC value 1, which is the one corresponding to the start parameter, with the depth that I will go through. And what this does, so how I did it is then I used half trigger so that it just takes the positive part, it doesn't go in negative. So if you start from 0, it will always take the 127 or whatever value in the positive section. It will never go in the negative. So it will always go from start to the end and from the end to the start. Speed is variable. We will talk about it. And if then you click on play by putting it out of mute, obviously, you will see that now the track goes and you start to hear this clicking part, which is the work of the LFO. Additionally, what I changed it to random. And you see it's starting to appear, this glitchy playing. Sort of it's a mixture of glitching and time stretching, because the beauty of this is that, let me put the loop, is that if you change the speed of the LFO of the track 9, it will just make it slower. See? Just progressing. But then what happens on track 2 is that I put every trigger active. So as the speed of the trigger corresponds, let's say, to how many grains are produced, to the density of the grains. Okay, talking about granular stuff. So the slower it is, density is very slow, the higher it is, density becomes. Obviously, if you increase the tempo, okay, now that we have the basic, we need to make some color out of it, right? And the color you can give it with some rhythm part, and the rhythm you can do some swing. You can also do it with putting some probability. It just loops back again because track number 9 there's a retrigger here. So every time that there's a retrigger, I could just put it on just the first one, so it will not retrigger and it will finish the loop. Let's take away this hiss. The wider you make the depth, the bigger it will jump in between points, and the more scattered will become the granular. I like it to keep it a bit tight. You can disable triggers And this will make the grain size bigger, because you will have more time to play a certain slot of the piece before retriggering the LFO, which cuts it and creates the starting point once again. Color it with reverb, color it with some delay. I put an LFO on the delay amplitude, so then it's nice to have the bass sample play along with it. So if you play both along, there you go. Oops, sorry. Why doesn't start? Hold on a second. Oh yeah, it doesn't start because it's here. Now you notice that this sample plays faster than this one. It's so that it's still here. So you can adapt and make them similar by speeding up the LFO here. Sorry. By speeding it up, let's put it to, I don't know, 3. Yeah, they're sort of similar, so they play along. You can time stretch it a bit. Could slow it down a bit. And then as an additional stuff, you take your nice BigSky. I first put it as non-linear in the video that I did. Or you could try with some shimmer. So, guys, I hope this was clear, and I wish you a great start of the week. Bye-bye.